Hello, this is the Mental Model Development Protocol, and in this protocol we're going to be doing some of the most important work that you can do as a team. I'd like to mention again, we have different kinds of teams out there. We have teams that are comprised of people who only focus on and teach the same things to the same age group of students. We also have teams out there who are none of them are teaching the same thing or the same students. But that doesn't mean that we can't do these protocols and the work can't be done. If you are teaching many different subject areas represented on your PLC, we want you to understand that this work is the same for you. If I'm the only person who's teaching my subject, I still should have essential standards, and I need my team to help me develop those. Each one of those essential standards needs a mental model. So this is the protocol to follow in developing the mental model. By way of introduction to this idea, we want to remember what we're trying to accomplish here. What we have depicted here is this chasm between two cliffs, a canyon, you may look at it. And on one side we have the mental model, on the other side we have the current reality, student learning, and then we have the gap between the two. Important thing to note, if we don't have a mental model, there is no gap, there's nothing to attack. Whatever the kids are doing, however they're doing, is just fine. And that's not where we want to be. We want to know exactly what the target is. A mental model is intended to bring to life in your mind as the educator, what is the target? What's the rigor level and the expectation for these students? If we do this work and we do it right, we will become very clear about what the students need to learn and be able to do. Once we're clear, then we are free to, in a much easier way, facilitate the students understanding what the mental model is. Once the students understand that, and you understand it, it's a lot easier to attack that gap. The students can help us. We're not alone in attacking that gap. So, in order for us to do all the other work that we need, we must be clear. And that's what this protocol is intended to do. It's very heavily based on the template that we've developed. So for this protocol, it is encouraged that you assign different standards to each member, and maybe two to certain members. If you have more essential standards than you have people on your team. If you have 5 essential standards, only 4 members on your team, somebody's going to have to do 2. But these are intended to be only drafts. So as this team member fills out the template, and here's the template, what it looks like, they're going to already have one built for the standard and objective because you did that at the conclusion of the developing the essential standards protocol. You'll fill out what should the students know in their minds and what should they be able to do right here. And then we have what does it look like when the students have mastered it. If you were watching the student and they've nailed it, what does that look like? So you'll describe that. You'll describe what it sounds like. Sounds like might be a little bit difficult, but think of it this way. When a student talks about it, what would you hear? When students are completing the task, what would you hear? Those things are actually very helpful in developing a clear mental model. An estimated time frame for the initial instruction, when do we think we'll probably be addressing that standard? That needs to be very, very much an estimate because it depends, doesn't it? It depends on how well they're learning the other standards. Here's the depth of knowledge, level 1, 2, and 3. If you're wondering what depth of knowledge is, here's a link and it'll take you to the wheel. You can examine the wheel. It'll explain what level 1, level 2, and level 3 is. This is important because whatever depth of knowledge we're targeting, that's what the kids are going to get. And one of the biggest problems that we have is when we teach to a lower depth of knowledge level, and then the end-of-year assessment or the ACT or whatever assessment the kids take is at a higher level. If that's the case, we could have thought that we did our job, but we failed because the test is at a higher depth of knowledge level. So we need to keep that in mind. What is the target? And then we want here some sample assessment questions that match that rigor. What type of question would be asked, or what task would the students need to complete in order to nail that mental model? So each individual would fill that out, and then we'll come back to the protocol. That draft is shared. We suggest that you put it up, like project it up or something so that everybody can see it. You talk about suggestions to add, delete, adjust. You just have an open conversation, making sure that it is being adjusted and changed in real time as consensus is reached. So you repeat that again for every essential standard. And this might take many meetings to be able to accomplish, but there is nothing more important than completing this step and doing it right, because all the next steps later on depend on this being right. So take your time and do it right, and then you'll be set up for all the future work that you need to do. Good luck.